8 weeks ago, my running journey began. A journey that took me from being someone who could unrun for a minute without stopping to someone who could actually finish a 5K. This is how it went down. I've always been fascinated by the world of running. Whenever I went out into the streets of London, I would see these people running up and down the streets, and I just thought they were crazy. How could anyone enjoy running? I asked myself this question so many times and never really gave it a try until I moved in with my boyfriend, Harry. At the beginning of 2023, the first few months were tough. Kept on arguing about everything, and the relationship wasn't going anywhere. I was feeling low and unhappy and needed a hobby. So I tried out a few different activities: boxing, weightlifting, yoga, but none of them really stuck. That is, until one day when I decided to go for a run. I laced up some old trainers that had been sitting in the corner of our bedroom for months and headed out into the park near our apartment. The initial few minutes were excruciatingly painful. I felt like I was carrying around 300 pounds on my legs, and I had to walk after only a minute. But something inside of me clicked. Maybe it was the fresh air, or the sunshine, or the fact that I didn't have anything else to do that. Saturday morning. But I kept on going back to that park week after week, pushing myself further and further each time. And now, 8 weeks later, I can officially say that I am a runner. But it hasn't been easy. There have been so many moments over the past 2 months where I wanted to give up. I've missed days, weeks, and even a month of training due to injuries, work commitments, and other things that came up. And every time I went for a run, there was a part of me that wanted to stop, that craved the comfort of being on my couch watching Netflix instead of having to get out of breath in front of all these random strangers. But every time I did go for a run, I told myself that this is why you signed up for the 5K. This is what you came here for. You need to push through this discomfort and embrace it. Because that's how you grow. That's how you learn. And that's how you prove to yourself that you are capable of doing so much more than you think. So here's exactly how I trained for my very first 5K in just 8 weeks. Week 1, I ran for 60 seconds and walked for 5 minutes. It was so hard. My legs were hurting. I couldn't breathe properly. And I thought to myself, what have I got myself into? But as the weeks went on, I slowly built up my stamina, and I started to feel stronger. By week 4, I was running for 5 minutes straight and only had to walk once during my entire 20-minute session. And then by week 6, I was running for 10 minutes straight with no breaks. The progress was slow but steady, and I was so proud of myself for every milestone that I hit, even if it was just running for an extra 30 seconds without stopping. As my fitness improved, so did my mental health. I started feeling more confident and positive, and it actually made me want to live a healthier lifestyle. I cut out sugar and processed foods from my diet and replaced them with whole, nutritious meals instead. And I also started meditating every morning to help reduce my anxiety levels. Of course, I still had moments of self-doubt. There were days when I didn't think I could do it, but every time I put on my trainers and stepped outside, I reminded myself that I was doing this for me. I was proving to myself that I was capable of achieving something great. And I knew that if I didn't push through the pain and the discomfort, then I wouldn't be able to reap the benefits of being a runner. At first, running made me feel like my body was being tortured, but slowly, it started to become a bit more enjoyable. By week 6, I was actually looking forward to my runs. I loved the feeling of the wind in my hair, the sun on my face, and the sense of freedom that I felt when I was out there pounding the pavement. It was also nice to have a routine. Every morning I knew that I had to get out of bed early and go for a run, which meant that I had an excuse not to spend too long in bed scrolling through social media or watching TV. Instead, I would get up, get dressed, eat a quick breakfast, and head out into the street. There were so many moments throughout my running journey over the past 8 weeks where I thought to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm running for 60 seconds in week 1 to finishing a 5K in week 8. It's been a huge accomplishment and something that I'm so proud of. Of course, it hasn't been easy. There have been days when I've felt like giving up, moments when I've doubted myself, and times when I've felt like I'm not making any progress. But I'm so glad that I stuck with it, because the feeling of crossing that finish line and knowing that I'd completed my very first 5K is something that I will never forget. If you're thinking about starting your own running journey, then I would say just do it. Lace up those trainers and get out the door. Doesn't matter how slow you are or how many times you have to stop and walk. What matters is that you keep going and that you don't give up on yourself. Here are some tips that helped me become a runner in just 8 weeks. First off, start slow and gradually build up your speed and distance over time. Don't try to do too much too soon, or you'll risk getting injured. Secondly, find a running buddy who can motivate you and keep you accountable. Running with a friend makes it more fun, and you're less likely to bail on your sessions. Thirdly, mix up your running routes so that you don't get bored. Explore new parks, neighborhoods, and trails to keep things interesting. And finally, reward yourself for reaching milestones, whether it's buying yourself a new pair of trainers, downloading a new running app, or treating yourself to a massage. Rewards will help you stay motivated and on track to success. Thank you for joining me on my running journey. I hope that my story has inspired you to lace up those trainers and hit the pavement. Remember, it's not about how fast you run or how far you go. It's about the progress you make and the dedication you have to your goals. So keep going and don't ever give up on yourself. You are capable of achieving amazing things. I'll see you next week for another running update. Until then, happy running and take care.